All right, looks like we got them on now.
Yeah, I'm getting us online here. All right, we are ready when you are, Mr. Mayor.
All right, sounds good. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a meeting of the Seldovia City Council, Monday, March 9th, 2026. Time is 6:08 p.m. This is a regular meeting. Then we'll go ahead and do roll call. Peyton?
Here.
Barber?
Here.
Keithley?
Here.
Coleman?
Here.
Taylor?
Here.
Okay, and I don't see Langbar. Was she planning on joining us or was she not going to join us tonight?
As far as I know, she was planning on joining us.
Okay, we'll just hold her absent for right now. So we have 5 out of 6 present. We do have a quorum. And if Liz, you could start us off on the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. All right. We have no excused absences as of yet. Agenda approval. I'll look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
A motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda by Taylor with a second by Coleman. Any further discussion on tonight's agenda before we vote? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's agenda. All those in favor, Peyton?
Aye.
Barber?
Aye.
Keithley?
Aye.
Coleman?
Aye.
And Taylor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5 in the affirmative, 0 opposed, and 1 absent. That'll take us down to item E, consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and 1 vote. A council member may request to remove any item for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the approval of minutes of the regular meeting from February 23rd, 2026. Second item on our consent agenda is ordinance introduction. That's item 2A, ordinance 26-12, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, amending chapter 18.96 public hearings to entitle it quasi-judicial public hearings and adding section 18.96.030, authorizing the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Commission to use a hearing officer to make quasi-judicial decisions, and amending sections 18.20.015, 18.88.020, 18.92.010, 18.92.050, 18.96.010, 18.96.020, and 18.97.010 to clarify the difference between quasi-judicial and legislative actions and hearings before city bodies and officials. That was a mouthful. All right. Third item is item 3A, Resolution 26-17, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, entering into a 10-foot wide utility easement located within Lot 2, Seldovia Heights subdivision, with the Board of Regents of the University of Alaska, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. All right, that's our consent agenda this evening, consisting of 3 items. Does any member wish to remove any of those items to discuss separately?
I have a question. Where is lot 2 in the Seldovia Heights subdivision located at?
Through the mayor, if you'd like, I can take that.
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, so lot 2 is the property that surrounds the water treatment plant. And so we're talking about north of the water
Okay.
treatment plant headed to the reservoir. We're gonna repair that or replace the lower 1,050 feet. And we thought it was prudent, instead of taking it back through the woods, to do a little bit of a longer jog and follow the right of way for ease of access and maintenance in the future.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, hearing nothing else, we'll go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Keithley to approve tonight's consent agenda with a second by Taylor. Any further discussion on the consent agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor, Peyton,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Keithley,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
and Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passes 5 in the affirmative, 0 opposed, and 1 absent. That will take us down to item F, mayoral proclamations, none. Item G, public presentation prior notice. We did have Senator Stevens scheduled for tonight, but he could not make it. So we're going to go ahead and reschedule with him, and we'll get him on the next go around. Item H, public presentations for items not on the agenda. Liz, do we have anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak under item H tonight?
Yes, we have Mako Haggerty here in the audience.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Manager, Liz. Thanks. Council members. My name is Mako Haggerty, and I have Mako's Water Taxi. I just came to thank this group here for their work on the dock out at Jackaloff. Of course, it's an incomplete project, but we just want to thank you for all the efforts you guys put into it, because we know how it's so important to us, and I know it's important to you and to this town. And so just thank you for working on that. We really appreciate the effort to fund the project, because we know how difficult that can be, and also the timeliness of replacing that dock, which we all know is basically falling apart. We also are appreciative of the efforts at the uplands above the dock, because that area there has so much potential. We see it not just for parking, but one of the things that we've thought about is building some kind of pavilion or place where people can get out of the weather, and we'd like to, kind of keep that public as much as possible and accessible to the public for that for the upland area. And of course, we think that there's just a lot of potential for that area. We just want you to know that we're available for with volunteer boats and labor to help make things happen, because it's important to us too. Let's see. Bob wrote some stuff for me to. He says, The infrastructure is expensive, especially in a marine environment, and we fully appreciate the need for revenues to cover the maintenance and operations of the dock and upland area, and we'd welcome the chance to be included in any of those conversations. So, anyway, I guess I'm just here to tell you how important that dock is to us as well as it is to this community. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mako. Appreciate your input. Yeah, and I read your letter that Bob sent over from yourself there and Mako's as a business, and we really appreciate your guys' offering of support. And I'm sure at some point here we get a little closer, we'll take you guys up on that. I know you guys are a main user of that dock over there, commercial wise, and yeah, obviously we're all super excited. This is going to be an incredible project for that part of the bay out there, and I think it's going to be a whole different experience for folks coming over. And then when we get it cleaned up, and it's going to look a lot better. And I think we get a few accommodations out there and a safe place for people to moor overnight. And yeah, it'll be good all the way around. So appreciate you coming over in person and expressing your support on the project.
Yeah, and thanks again. Yeah, you have our support and appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mako.
All right, Liz, anyone else?
We do not have any more people for public comment. We do have Dr. Zink for the committee and advisory board report.
Okay, sounds good. That'll take us down to item, let's see, that was item H. That'll take us down to item I, committee and advisory board reports, and we'll have Dr. Zink give us his report tonight.
Step forward too early. Right, thank you. I'm Kirk Zink. I serve as Seldovia's representative to the Prince William Sound Regional Citizens Advisory Council. The council was formed after the 1989 oil spill in Prince William Sound. It's one of two in the world. The other is the Cook Inlet Regional Citizens Advisory Council that Walt Sullivan serves on. We met at the end of January as a board and covered several things, and I just have some highlights to talk about some of the things that were of most concern at the time. The first is what's called SERVS, and that's a ship escort and response vessel system. This is a program where varied vessels from the industry and from the fishing fleet in the community of Valdez, and there are other communities where Homer has one. There are fishing vessels that are ready to respond if an oil spill should occur. This is what happened during the original oil spill, is we had a lot of fishing boats out there working with other people to get that contained. Anyway, there's training on an annual basis. There's supplemental training between for the whole fleet that participates in Prince William Sound. In 2023, a law was passed in Congress that would require all ships in the response team pass inspections of tasks that fishing vessels aren't designed to do. It was supposed to take effect this year. Consequently, a work group of representing the RCAC industry and other stakeholders got together and developed a solution for the 2023 law that would disqualify fishing vessels as spill respondents. The work group addressed the problem by promoting language from the FY 2026 National Defense Authorization Act that resulted in exemptions from these inspection requirements for qualified vessels engaged in training and corresponding to oil spills in Alaska, training that corresponds to oil spills in Alaska. That group worked with our congressional delegation, including Senators Murkowski and Sullivan and Congressman Nick Begich, to develop a solution to the issue. Ultimately, Congressman Begich inserted language into a modified bill that included necessary exemption. The bill included fishing vessels as an element of oil spill response, and it was passed in December 2025. So we're very happy about that, as are the people that work with oil at Prince William Sound. And anyway. We also, at the meeting, received a report from Alyeska Pipeline Service Company. Clint Van Wingarten, who's the Vice President of Operations and Maintenance at the Valdez Marine Terminal. And it's also over Alyeska and Serves. He reported on operations concerning the availability of numbers for the fishing vessel oil spill response plan and summarized recent drills and exercises. Again, keeping the fishermen involved, the fishing boats involved and interested is a big thing. I mean, you really depend on it to be there if we need it. Van Wingarten also summarized some other projects that are happening at the Valdez Marine Terminal. And these included Tank 5 inspection. Okay, thank you. These included a Tank 5 inspection, an internal inspection that was created for crude oil storage tank 5. This included an inspection of branch lines that lead to the tank. So they look at the tank, determine the integrity of it, check what's coming in and out of it. And this is an ongoing project, of course. They have introduced a PFAS-free fire foam now, and it's called Birth Foam 4. One of the firefighting system component of it has transitioned to a universal green, which is a new PFAS-free form. Don't ask me about it. I'm not a scientist, but anyway, it's been a long time in the process, and I've spoken at this meeting about it before. There's also a new development called the Tanker One plan, and this is the administration of the Oil Discharge Prevention and Contingency Plan, which is transitioned from the shipping companies to Alyeska. Alyeska is working with ship owners towards unifying and streamlining the overarching plan for responding to oil spills. The transition will require several years, and it will include a public reserve process. So anyway, Alyeska has just kind of taken over the leadership of that particular aspect of Prince William Sound operation. And they've always been involved. They're just stepping up a little more. There's also been some testing methods for liners. They've talked about testing method for liners and secondary containment. I've talked about that before. The oil tanks are underlain by an asphalt liner, which is 4 feet down or so under gravel. The liner is about 50 years old. It's disintegrating. If you've ever seen asphalt, you know what it's like. And they still really have not come up with I guess, a suitable solution at this point, sounds like to me. The liner is intended to contain crude oil in the event of a spill. And our council and other entities involved in the oil industry has expressed ongoing concern about the 50-year-old liners because cracks and damage are evident anytime the liner is exposed when they're doing work around there, that kind of thing, and they've got to dig down. So an effective solution has yet to be identified. Efforts continue to develop an effective liner evaluation as well as an effective means of addressing breaches in the liner that are occurring with age. Everything is geared towards that tank farm is on a hill, and everything is geared towards keeping oil out of the ocean because the hill faces down towards the ocean. Okay, and then talked about environmental monitoring. The council does environmental monitoring through a long-term program that has monitored the presence of hydrocarbons in sediments and mussels in the region. So part of the process of shipping oil in and out is to keep an eye on that. The ongoing monitor is currently being conducted by Dr. Morgan Powers, a marine ecologist with the Fjord and Fish Sciences. She's from Whittier. I don't know exactly where her office is, but anyway. And Dr. Danielle Verna, an environmental science who's on the staff of Prince William Sound Regional Citizens Advisory Council. The latest report and results from the 2025 sampling excursions in Valdez shows that samples from mussels, sediment, and seawater that were collected from the Valdez Marine Terminal and other reference sites were analyzed for the presence of hydrocarbons. Dr. Morgan reported that the results showed currently a low risk for effects on wildlife at current concentrations. We were finally introduced to the new ADEC director, a man named Randy Bates, who's a lifelong Alaskan who grew up in Juneau. And along with other work, Mr. Bates has been a commercial fisherman throughout his life from childhood. So I find that very promising. And finally, there is for council members, I've given to Liz a pamphlet called A Year in Review that reviews the activities of the council over the past, it was fiscal year. So that's it. Any questions?
All right, thanks, Kirk. Appreciate that. Anyone have any questions? Yes,
Mr.
definitely good news about the exemption for the fishing vessels. I know we talked about that here a couple years ago when this all came about. So I'm glad to hear they got that straightened out. All right, thanks for the report tonight.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead, Harmony.
I also am not a scientist, but thank you, Dr. Zink, for always going to those meetings and representing our interest in keeping the ocean clean and viable for the future, and understanding the information enough to retain it and bring it back to us. You and Walt seriously are incredible. Every time you guys come and do a report, I'm always just blown away. You're wonderful. Thank you for doing that for us. And also thanks for Mako for coming. That's fun.
Perfect. All right, sounds good. Liz, no other committee or advisory board reports tonight?
Oh, sir.
Okay, we'll move on down to item J, administrative reports, none. Item K, public hearings, none. Item L, unfinished business, none. Item M, new business. Item M1, resolution 26-18, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, expressing support for the proposed 10-year aquatic farm lease to Seldovia Seaweed under ADL 234203 pursuant to AS 38.05.083. And I see we have Keith, Leanne, Coleman as sponsors on this. Can let Harmony, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I'd like to excuse myself from the conversation as I have a conflict of interest.
Yeah, yeah, and you can certainly participate in the discussion. You don't have to participate in the vote. So understood.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep, sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Ms. Coleman and I have brought this to the council after the city manager's report in our last meeting announcing the 10-year aquatic farm lease that all of us homeowners got a letter in the mail, and I noticed that we all seemed in support and very excited about this, and we figured it would be a great way to show our support then from City Council by putting this into a resolution to help our fellow seaweed farmers in their endeavor and in bringing a new industry into the community.
Thanks, Ashley.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from council? Harmony, I have a question actually. I don't know a lot about the kelp farming and stuff, but I know they're doing it in other areas around the state. Is there any negative or unintended consequences that have come up as a result of the kelp farming, or does it seem to be pretty straightforward?
Sure, that's a great question. It's pretty new in the state of Alaska, but it's been around for a really long time. They've been doing it over in Ireland and places like that. They do it all around the world, really. It's been happening off the East Coast for, I think we're coming up on the 15-year mark of successful farming out there. We haven't seen, there's always potential for any, for, habitat displacement when you're putting infrastructure in a wild place. So the biggest foreseeable impact that could potentially occur here is when you have those big anchors moving to and fro. Hopefully that won't happen. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into choosing your infrastructure so you're not that isn't occurring. But you never know what could happen. Could cause some sort of dragging one way or the other. Other than that, nothing else comes to mind. It's pretty straightforward. It's a pretty clean process as far as anything that occurs out in the ocean and retrieving the product. So, I mean, so far shouldn't be anything that's a drawback for our community.
And you guys, you plan on like marking your gear similar? I mean, I'm assuming there's a whole series of buoys and stuff in the water, similar to like an oyster
Yep.
farm, or I mean,
Yep.
setting gear, any of that, right?
Yep. The season is through, or doesn't correspond with the summer season, so it's not really, we're harvesting in like May. So it's not even really out there during tourist season or fish season. So I mean, honestly, it's going to be a pretty unobtrusive site as far as how it affects local traffic goes. There's a couple of homes out there in the vicinity, but they won't be impacted as far as water access. There's no restrictions as far as you have to plant your product far enough below the surface that you're not going to be getting caught in anybody's rudder, anybody's gear like that. If is an issue, there's always a potential for that, right? Like there's always a potential that a line is loose from the bottom, and you can't positively say that nothing's ever going to go wrong. That's just not real. But it's all marked. It'll all be very visible when those things are out there. And yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I'm just fascinated by it. So I don't know a lot about it, and I'm curious for the whole thing from harvest to markets to all that. So I mean, I definitely think it's cool, and I'm for sure in support of another industry coming, and especially it sounds like with the non-conflict due to the seasonability of it. That's probably a plus. I mean, I'm sure people would, tourists and stuff would like to see it too, if it was something that there was to look at.
Totally. Like it's a 10-year lease. Initial years will be if they give you a 10-year lease with the assumption that your first 2 years they're going to be figuring out what your product is going to do, because it's still so new to our state and we don't have a lot of processing infrastructure. Stephen and I's intended product is something that we will be able to sell right away in theory if all continues to go well. But we're holding that close to our chests because it's just the way the industry is going. But we have lots of dreams. It would be really cool to really partner up with different entities in the community to make it a more interactive business. Include the tourists, ecotourism, stuff like that. Tours, I don't know, it'd be fun.
Yeah, cool. All right, sounds good. Thanks for answering those. And yeah, I'm definitely in support. So, anyone else from council? Any other questions, comments?
I have a question because I know next to nothing about this either, but so where is the location? I know it's in Kachemak, but can we see it from like outside beach, or, say tourists wanted to see something?
Sure. So Florence has opinions too. It's mostly, so we're actually in Seldovia Bay. So we're kitty corner from Powder Island, which is pretty far up the bay. So
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that we'll be able to see it actually from town, which is sad, but
Yeah.
also probably for the best. You know, I couldn't imagine there isn't really anything about this this site or our venture that should be objectionable for anybody as far as how it'll potentially impact anybody's day-to-day life, anybody's quality of life, anybody's view. It's, you know, like I said, it's cold season growth. So it shouldn't be impacting snowbirds. I don't think that it's something that we'll be able to see from, you know, the deck of the Linwood, but you know, maybe if in 5 years
Dang
it's
it.
going great, we'll expand it. But even then,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. That's just pipe dreams.
Bring it right in the boat harbor.
Mm.
All right, thanks, Jackie. Anyone else? All right, I'll let the record reflect also that Meg Langbart has joined us. She is now present, so we do have a full council. All right, if there's no one else, we'll go to public. Anyone from the public wishes to weigh in or comment on resolution 26-18?
I'm not seeing anyone, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council and we'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Taylor to approve resolution 26-18, the second by Langbart. Any further discussion on the approval of resolution 26-18 before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of resolution 26-18. All those in support, Peyton? Oh, sorry about
Oh,
that.
she can't vote.
She's not going to vote on this one. Barber?
Aye.
Keithley?
Aye.
Langbart?
Aye.
Coleman?
Aye.
Taylor?
Aye.
All right, 5 in the affirmative, 0 opposed, and 1 conflicted out. Motion passes. All right, second item tonight under new business is item M2, resolution 26-19, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and enter into a city attorney contract with Landy Bennett and Bloomstein LLP for a 5-year period beginning March 2026. And Heidi, I'll let you run with this one.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in your packet on page 19 is a copy of that resolution, followed by a memo on page 20. It's, as mentioned, authorizes the city manager to negotiate and enter into a 5-year contract with Landy, Bennett, and Bloomstein. Our current city attorney or our previous city attorney was through the Lebec Law Group, and that's who the city's used since 2014. And in 2024, Lebec Law Group merged with Landy Bennett and Bloomstein. We've still been using Joe Lebec through that time and that transition. And we're at that point now where it's it's a time to renew our contract. So we haven't done that in a while, and this was presented with very similar rates, still very low as we previously used or as we've previously had with Mr. Lebec, as well as the fact that Landy Bennett and Bloomstein also offers attorneys that specialize in a variety of fields. So not just municipal law. We've used them in the past for labor and employment law. They have specialists in business law, real estate, construction, Alaska Native law, estate planning, and other related areas. So it's nice that there's a bigger firm so that there's more opportunities to work with different specialists as needed. And I'm recommending this action for the meantime in order to have that consistency as well as the previous institutional knowledge for city operations.
Perfect. Thank you, Heidi. Appreciate that. We'll go ahead and turn it on over to council for any comments or questions on resolution 26-19.
Excuse me, Heidi, did you say Levesque merged with this law firm? Or it's a
Correct.
different law firm?
Nope, Levesque Law Group merged with Landy, Bennett and Bloomstein.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I will be in support of resolution 26-19. Obviously, the time has come again for a new contract, and Landy Bennett and Bloomstein obviously bring a lot to the table with their experience and expertise in a number of areas that we would likely need their input on. So, yep, I will be in support of the resolution, and then Heidi will end up doing the rest of the work if this goes through.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question if I could.
Go ahead, Jack.
The 5 years, I mean, is that a normal period of time that you would enter into a contract like this? And how binding? I mean, if we find at some point we want out of this, is there an exit plan to it, or are we hold our toes to the fire for 5 years?
Through the mayor, excellent question. So 5 years is fairly standard, but we could shorten it if that was the council's desire. This contract is very fluid to get out of. It's like very fluid. It includes a provision to terminate for convenience, as well as for cause or by mutual agreement of the parties. So,
yeah, I'd hate to get into a 5-year contract and find that there's some things we don't like and
sure.
we're stuck with it.
Yeah.
That would be the only concern.
Yeah, no, I did review a draft and it includes the termination by convenience.
Yeah, I think that was similar to what we had going with Lebec too. I know when we had talked, it was fairly fluid if either party had it wasn't working. So I'm comfortable with where we're headed for sure. All right, any other questions on resolution 26-19? Okay, we'll go to public. Anyone from the public wish to weigh in on resolution 26-19?
I'm not seeing any, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll go ahead and bring resolution 26-19 back to council for final action, and I would look for a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
motion to accept resolution, already forgot the numbers,
26-19.
26-19.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion to approve
A
resolution
lot of seconds.
26-19 by Harmony, and we have a second by Langbart. I'll give it to her. Any further discussion on resolution 26-19 before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of resolution 26-19. All those in favor, Peyton,
Aye.
Barber, Keithley,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
and Taylor.
Aye.
Motion passes 6 in the affirmative, 0 opposed. And that was the approval of resolution 26-19. All right, thank you, everyone. That will conclude our new business for tonight. That'll take us down to item M, City Manager's Report, and that will be in your laydown.
Thank you.
Heidi, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just right off the top, I had a great meeting with Marad last week, as well as with Moffett and Nickel. The Fonzie is in concurrence, so they're just wrapping that bit up for the NEPA. And then they also received the award for $482,000, which was a congressional direct spending request through Lisa Murkowski's office. And they pleasantly let me know that that can be just tacked on with the existing award. So we'll get the grant agreement with a line item for each dollar figure and be able to proceed hopefully very smoothly through that process. We're expecting that in the next couple of weeks. So with that in mind, we're moving full steam ahead on finalizing the draft RFP and also hoping to get that out here in the next couple of weeks. I had a meeting scheduled with Moffett Nickel at the end of last week, and unfortunately, there's a lot of illness happening in this state. So that has been rescheduled for this week, or will be rescheduled for this week. But they're working on buttoning that up, and we're hoping to get that out sooner than later. And just as long as we're not signing contracts, we should be okay with getting that out. Finally, getting to that point, hopefully. I feel like I've been saying this for a year. Jack Loft Uplands application, we did receive the signed entry authorization and submitted an application for the survey inspections. We also issued a media release requesting with that information and requesting that vehicle owners contact the harbor office because we intend to start a cleanup process out there this spring. So it'd be helpful to know who are active users and vehicles in the area. We also, if I didn't say, oh yeah, I did the application for the survey instructions. So we're moving ahead on the other pieces as well. Raw water transmission line, you guys passed the resolution to approve the easement, and that was on your consent agenda. That is exciting, and I'll go ahead and sign that tomorrow and send that off to the University of Alaska. I know it'll still need to be recorded, but moving ahead with that project has been very great. Kuna's been working on some of the permitting and background information, and seems like things are on track so far. Fuel facility improvements project. You guys approved the award for a contract at the last meeting, and that draft contract is now in review. I'm also going to speak with Kuna again about what it looks like to add on some additional work, as well as talking to the staff and making sure that we button up that building to the best of our ability during this project. For the Main Street Seldovia Stormwater Infrastructure Improvements Project, we have a pre-review meeting scheduled this week with DOT and HDR. HDR is the firm that received the contract for that project. It's at 65% design, but really it's headed a lot closer to 100% design at this point. We're going to stop and call it a 95% in order for DOT, and one of the projects won't be finished with this funding, so that we have a little flexibility going forward with that design. But still everything on track so far. We did have a little bit of a scare from the Alaska Clean Water Action Program where they heard news that they were not going to receive federal funding for FY27, which is the finish out of these projects. And today received an email saying that that funding was going to go through. So that's nice that we'll be able to finish that project, as well as the Seldovia Stormwater Infrastructure Improvements Project, which is on Vista Avenue and on Frank Gravy. So those are nice things just to button up. A lot of the other things are kind of standing at status quo. or there's just some background work happening. Nothing big to report, except on number 23. We did submit an application last Friday asking for $2.4 million for the Fish Creek assessment project. And it's not just Fish Creek, it's, I really should change that title because it's got a better title. I will in the next packet. But it's looking at, it's a kind of a three-prong approach, looking at removing the Fish Creek Dam and assessing that area, as well as doing the initial assessment and appraisal work for the properties around Trina Lake for the potential of acquisition or conservation in the future. And then the third part of it is a composting program where we would be able to set up a volunteer program for fish and produce compost that we could distribute back out to the community. So kind of a fun little project. We'll see what happens with that. The other part of that is that Trout Unlimited has really wanted to help with this project. And so they submitted a proposal in January on the city's behalf for a cost assessment and design for this Fish Creek Dam project, and they received it. So they had $240,000 to leverage for the bigger overall project. And I had a nice meeting with them a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was last week. It's all going so fast. But they are big supporters and looking to work with the city and with our partners to see this come up to fruition. The other two grants that we submitted on Friday, it was a very busy day. This is, I guess, 2 Fridays ago. Wow. Can't believe it's been that long. Sorry, not getting sidetracked here. 2 Fridays ago was we submitted 2 REVEEP applications. And so if you remember, we have a REVEEP project right now, and those were for the thermal improvements of the city office. And it's been really great to work with that program. So they have a round 3 of funding availability, and we submitted an application for the siding of the multipurpose building, as well as an application for a new roof, siding, boiler, and heat pump for the harbor office. So hopefully we get to hear about that soon. For project and activity updates, Mayor Michicki with Kenai Peninsula Borough called last week regarding a question that council member Barber had on what are the revenues that are received from Seldovia versus the services provided. And I invited him to come speak at a meeting. He is scheduled to attend the March 23rd regular city council meeting for that discussion, as well as just for updates, what's happening in the Kenai Peninsula Borough. And let's see, Harbor Master Janet Peterson and I attended the Public Entity Risk Management Seminar. It was great. It was so wonderful. I think everybody should attend it. I guess I feel that way about a lot of conferences. But no, it was Layla was able to take a 10-hour OSHA class, was certified for it, learned a lot of really great information. And I sat in 2 days of HR management, which was very useful and gave us a lot of great contacts for just different services and things, including background checks and just different, my mind is blanking because it was a lot of information, but a lot of really great resources. So that was, it was well worth it. And we get 2 nights stay on our reimbursable on our insurance companies. So fantastic. I look forward to it next year. Comprehensive plan draft update. This is still in the works. We had a copy of the draft with the updates and comments that were shared with the planning commission at their meeting last Wednesday. And they approved all of the updates. Had just a couple of small things to include. All that information has gone to Alaska Municipal League, and they are hoping to get a copy to us by a finalized copy. And then it would be on the agenda for introduction ordinance introduction on March 23rd, and then potentially adoption in April. So that's very exciting that that's coming to the close. We've also invited or will invite Robert Buckner with the Kenai Peninsula Borough Planning Department for that conclusion, so that because the plan will go to them next for the assembly to adopt, and so just making sure that they're a part of the process as that's discussed. We also wanted to give a Seldovia Planning Commission update. The commission did discuss not only the comprehensive plan, but also the draft ordinance for public hearing officer, which is on your agenda under your consent agenda tonight, as well as the comprehensive zoning review that was requested by the city council through resolution at your last meeting. The commission asked me to include in the city manager's report that they're going to work through that scope of work with staff, and that they request and that to let you know, a request for assistance has been made to Alaska Municipal League. So we'll see what that scope of work comes back as, and if we need a budgetary appropriation or what that looks like. As you know, it's a monumental task, so just trying to figure out the next steps on how to accomplish that. But there was already some great ideas about utilizing and leveraging the comprehensive plan and what those goals and actions are to ensure that the districts are meeting the need of that plan in the review. Public Works update, sewer connection on Vista Avenue was repaired, and groundwater continues to pond on the corner of C Street and Ida Lane. So we're keeping an eye on that. Of course, there's been snow last couple of days, so doing that as well. And we did submit the FY27 congressional direct spending request. That ended up being for the 2 projects because we did receive heavy equipment in the last request. So we submitted a request for the harbor improvements planning project and heavy equipment. Got great letters of support from those, received letters of support from Senator Stevens, from our Assembly Representative Willie Dunn, Director Fisher, with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking, Homeland Security. He sent a letter of support for the heavy equipment archival storage complex. We had a couple local businesses on each project, so far very well supported on both those initiatives. FY25 audit, the preparation is done and the audit work is going full bore, so that should be coming to a close here in the next couple of weeks. That's just quite the process. And upcoming council business, I wanted to ask you guys, it sounds like we might have a little bit of conflict in scheduling next week for a standalone budget meeting, and just wanting to confirm whether Monday, March 16th or Tuesday, March 17th worked best. It is budget season, so it'd be great if we could at least have one work session in March to go through. Maybe if it's a standalone, as long as I can get my ducks in a row this week, we could have a bigger conversation on the budget overall. I'm still waiting for a few last minute things, like the CPI to be announced for February. I'm waiting to hear from our insurance, both health and our liability insurance, to see if there are anticipated or what those anticipated increases are for each of those. And I did just receive back the preliminary figures for the tax assessment figures. So getting those incorporated, but I'm hearing that they should all be available this week. I'm working through it. If not, at least having that conversation on capital projects would help get ahead a little bit instead of trying to throw everything into April. And I think you've seen everything else. So please let me know if you have any questions and what date works best. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thanks, Heidi. Yeah, I'm free both of those days. Not sure what the rest of council looks like. Probably look to just see if we can get enough people together to have a work session, a constructive work session.
I'm fine for Monday. Monday works good for me on the 16th.
I'm good either day.
You're good with either day, Ashley? Okay. Jackie, what's your schedule looking like?
Monday the 16th doesn't work for me.
Okay,
I'll be fine.
okay. Harmony or Meg, Monday the 16th?
I'm open Monday or Tuesday. Sorry about tonight, guys. I literally am kind of messed up from the time change. Yeah. But yeah, Monday or Tuesday of next week work or of that time.
16th.
The 16th, sorry.
16th.
Works great.
Harmony, what about you?
I'm not available Tuesday, but I can totally catch the after show. I can listen into the meeting later, but I'm not available to sit in on a meeting on Tuesday evening.
Okay, can you do Monday?
Yeah, I can do Monday.
Okay. All right, looks like we can get everybody on Monday except for Jackie. So let's go ahead and plan on Monday then. And then yeah, Jackie, you'll just be able to listen to it after the fact, and we'll catch you on the next one. So
Yeah. Yeah,
we'll
no
have
problem.
plenty of opportunity for all of these to revisit all these items a couple times. So Heidi, that work with you guys for next Monday?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just want to confirm, does that work for you, Councilmember Barber? Monday?
I think I'm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That'll work.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and plan on that.
One quick question. Is that meeting scheduled for 6 o'clock?
Great question. We're all yours. Do you guys want 6 o'clock or do you want earlier?
6 o'clock works great for me.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm fine with 6. If you guys are all good. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, you're all good, Heidi?
Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's see here. Thanks for your report. As always, lots of good stuff there. Pretty exciting to see all the funding stuff coming through as always. So that's good news. Good news. Let's see. Item O, informational items not requiring action. None. Item P, executive session, none. Item Q, council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. Peyton.
Good night, you guys. Enjoy the sunshine.
All right, Barber.
Okay.
Keithley.
Nothing this evening.
All right, Langvart.
No comment. Thank you, guys.
Coleman.
Nothing this evening.
And Taylor. All right, nothing from you, Jackie. All right. Thanks everyone for attending. Now that we got the time change, we got a little light and a little bit of our evening left. So appreciate everyone attending. Our next meeting will be on next regular meeting will be on Monday, March 23rd. And then along with the work session next Monday, the 16th. So that will also be at 6 p.m. So I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I second.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn with a second. Any objection? All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.